Alright, today's topic will be measurement, but we'll focus on our subtopic will be area. So let us first look at definition of area. The area of a plane figure is the size of the surface enclosed by its boundary. So it's the size of the surface. The last time we looked at perimeter, we understand that perimeter is the total distance around a plane figure, while area is the size of its surface enclosed by its boundary. So we are looking at the inner part. That's area. So an example of how area is useful. Let's say this is a rectangular floor, and we want to put some tile on the floor. What we can do, we can find the area of the floor, and we can find the area of one tile. Let's say this little square thing is a tile. We can find the area of one tile, and then we divide the two of them, and then that's how we'll know how many tiles we'll need in order to tile the floor. Or let's say we have a rectangular part we like to board up, maybe it's a floor as well. We can find the area of this, and that's how we know how much BM. Well, if you got a sawmill board selling BM, we'll know how much BM we'll need in order to floor this rectangular floor. Good, and then we have other shapes, circle, and so on. Okay, let us go through the formula. Some of them you might be very familiar with, because since in primary school, we would have done area. So the area of a square. The area of a square is length times length, or we can write it as L square. Length times length mean L square. So anyone you can use. With area, we should remember all these formula, because let's say if you don't know the formula for perimeter, you just need to add everything around. But area, we don't add, we multiply, and we need to know what to multiply by what. Okay, rectangle. The area of a rectangle is length times width. Some persons will say length times breadth, but anyone, length times width, length times breadth. Width is a more better word to use, the length and the width. Mostly in primary school you use breadth. Good, so the area is length times width. And in algebra we'll understand that there's a multiplication sign understood here. So if you like, you can write area equal length times width, or area equal LW. LW mean length times width as well. Okay, and for the circle, there's one formula, area equal pi r square. Oftentimes students mix up this formula with the circumference, right? The circumference, there are two formulas, c equal 2 pi r and c equal pi d. For the area, c equal pi r square. Good. And we understand the value of pi. Pi is a Greek letter, which can take the value of 22/7 or 3.14. Alright, with triangle, we have three different formulas that we'll use. It all depends on what is given in the question. So let's say, okay, I write it as case 1, case 2, case 3. Let's say case 1, given the base and the perpendicular height. If you are given the base and the height, the base is the one at the bottom, the perpendicular height mean the 90 degrees height. So you might see a triangle like this, or you might have the perpendicular height like this, right? Perpendicular mean that it goes straight up. Good. So if we are given the base and the height, we use the formula half base times height. So here it have the formula in words, but it's abbreviated here. Area equal half b times height, which means base times height. Good. So in some other cases, you might not have the height given the length of all three sides. So let's say in this triangle, we know the length of all three sides. Alright, the way we label a shape, the vertex, we use capital letter, right? And opposite A, we label in common A. Opposite B, we label in common B. Opposite C, we label in common C. Good. So this formula, in order to find the area of a triangle where all three sides are given, there are two things we need to do. First of all, we need to find S, which means represent a semi-perimeter. So S is equal to A plus B all divided by 2. And for us to find the area, we'll use this formula. A equal to the square root of S into S minus A into S minus B into S minus C. And the S now comes from here. So first of all, we need to find the semi-perimeter, and that's how we'll get all of that, and then we just plug it into the formula. Alright, another one, case 3. So given the length of two sides and an angle, this should be angle, let me just put this down here. Good. Given two sides and the angle between the two sides. So let's say if we are given these two sides and the angle is between the two sides that are given, we use this formula: A equal half AB sine C. The C is a capital letter which represents the angle. Or you can use it as half AB sine theta. Theta will be the angle that is given. Sine C will be the angle that is given as well. Good. So again, we have 3 different formulas that we'll use to find the area of a triangle. Alright, let us look at some other shape. Trapezium. Okay, a trapezium have a pair of parallel sides. So these two sides are parallel, meaning that they are going in the same direction. And the formula is A equal half into A plus B times H. Okay, A will be the length on top, B will be the length at the bottom, and H will represent the perpendicular height. That's 90 degrees height, which is the perpendicular height. Okay, parallelogram. Alright, so you might see some fancy thing here. Okay, this line means that these two sides are equal, and this here means that these two are parallel. The same thing here, it means that these two are parallel. The double line means that these two sides are equal. Parallelogram is more like a rectangle, but it's just slanted, right? And here we have a rhombus. A rhombus is more like a square, but it's just slanted. So with a rhombus, all 4 sides are equal. These two sides are parallel to each other. These two sides are parallel to each other. And the formula for the parallelogram and rhombus is the same. Area equal base times height, or simply BH, which means base times height. Good. Now let us look at a sector. A sector is a part of a circle. It's like a slice of pizza, right? So that's what we call a sector. This is a Greek letter which means theta or theta. It's used to represent angle. So to find the formula of a sector, to find the area, of a sector, we use theta over 360 times pi r square. Or if you like, you can reverse this formula, right? Pi r squared times theta over 360. Any one of the two, but I mostly like to use this one. Alright, segment. Okay, this is what we call a segment, right? Here, well, most of the time, the letter O is used to represent the center of a circle. The R represents the radius, theta, and the line here, this is a chord, and this part is what we call a segment. Alright, to find the area of the segment, you need to do 2 things. First thing, you need to find the area of the sector, then minus it from the area of triangle. That's how you find the area of the segment.